Both these screens are footage of Lebanon. Now, I've just come back from a trip to the Middle East and a particular focus on Lebanon. And I was doing a political internship there to learn more about the space, to learn more about its development, its economics, and its politics. And Lebanon as a country is one which is extremely complicated for such a small piece of land, but also such a small population. You see, let's start off with Lebanon's geographical divide. Lebanon split into 9 provinces, or muhafadat in Arabic. And so, for example, you have Beirut as a province, you have Baalbek, you have to the north Akkar. These are just basically boundaries or similar to what we might call states. But here's where things take a turn. Provinces in Lebanon are not just a geographical thing. One of the first things you'll get asked if you're going to Lebanon, or if you're originally Lebanese, is where are you going? Which place are you going to be staying at? But it's not a question of curiosity. It's not like people are just trying to find out to give you some recommendations. Lebanon's all about where you're from because of the sect that it says that you're from. It's a question of classification rather than curiosity. And this takes us back to Lebanon's history, but also the culture of sectarianism. Sectarianism basically refers to the splitting of a population, the division of a population based on a factor. For Lebanon, that factor is religion. Now, what does this mean? So Lebanon's geography, the different provinces that you visit are populated by different religious populations. So for example, if you go to the east, the Baalbek, that's a province that's commonly for the Shiite Muslims. In Beirut, there's sort of a split between Sunni and Maronite Christians. In the north, it's more populated Sunni Muslims. And so this is all over Lebanon, and it's inbuilt within the Lebanese culture, the Lebanese habitus, the way that the Lebanese people think. And now let's turn to the history. Lebanon underwent a civil war in 1975, and that civil war was basically for many reasons that we might indulge in a different video. But one of the things that resulted in the civil war was this massive classification of groups. You see, initially it was a spark between the Palestinians and some Christian groups. But then alliances started to form. So you had Sunnis, for example, teaming up with the Palestinians, but you had other groups teaming up with the Maronites, and that continued to grow. But it's not something that only remained within Lebanon. It's something that influenced external intervention. So for example, you had the Saudi state coming and supporting the Sunni Muslims in Lebanon. And then you had, for example, Iran and Syria supporting the Shiite groups in Lebanon. And you had France intervening on the Christian side. And that's something that continues until today. Lebanon unfortunately doesn't maintain its own sovereignty. It can't maintain its own affairs because of how many countries, because of how many states intervene within Lebanon itself. But anyway, the civil war ended in 1989 to 1990, and it ended with this thing called the Ta'if Agreement or the Ta'if Accords. And the Ta'if Accords sought to end this division amongst the Lebanese population. It sought to reconcile the Lebanese people and stop the war. Now, it stopped the war, but it didn't do more than that. The Ta'if Accords promised a form of representation for all Lebanese citizens. So they wanted to have equal representation for the Sunnis, for the Shiites, for the Maronites, but then there were also other minority groups like the Druze, there were also Catholics, etc. And so what the Ta'if Accords sought to do was establish a proportional representation system, and I'll explain that in a second, but it tries to represent the entire Lebanese community. It tries to represent all the different religious sect. Okay, so what's proportional representation? So what that means is the parliament is divided according to religion. Voting districts are divided and politicians are elected based on the ratio of that religious population in that area. So let's take an example. In the northern Lebanese district, so there's like a few of them. So the first district, it has a ratio of like 3 Sunni MPs have to be elected. And MPs are just the people's representatives in parliament, the members of parliament, or in Lebanon they call them the wazir. So it has to be a ratio of like 3 Sunni Muslims 2 Catholic, 1 Maronite, and 1 Alawite. And so even if there's, for example, 4 Sunnis that get the majority votes or 3 Catholics that get the majority votes, they won't actually be into parliament. They won't actually be elected because the system says that only 3 Sunnis can be elected. The system says only 2 Catholics can be elected. So it's a system that was built to represent the people. It was a system that was, in theory, quite good at ending this division and trying to represent all of the minority groups or all of the groups generally. But it hasn't really worked. You see, Lebanon continues to be divided down this line of religion. The Lebanese nationhood, the Lebanese nationality isn't something that really bonds people together, or it might until religion comes up, because that takes a higher form of identity. It supersedes what it means to be Lebanese, because if that person's, for example, a Maronite and I'm a Sunni, then that takes a higher priority over the idea that we both share a Lebanese nationhood, a Lebanese nationality. Now, how this plays out is extremely messy in the political sphere. The parliament struggles so much to make simple decisions because of the sectarian divide, because of these alliances that form within the parliament. And so something as simple as electing a president, which Lebanon's been without, we're in 2023, we're in August 2023, they've been without a president for like 10, 11 months, if not more. Something as simple as that. They just remain divided because everything's about alliances. Everything's about who you're making friends with and not about representing itself and not about making decisions that represent the Lebanese population. It's a really messy system. Now, if it's so messy and if the Lebanese people recognize that it's not a system that's serving them, why does it continue until today? Why is it that the president has to be a Maronite? Why is it that the prime minister has to be a Sunni Muslim and the speaker of parliament a Shia Muslim? Why this proportional representation where the politicians, where everyone's divided, even geography, even the space is divided according to religion? Like, why does it stay? And that really takes you back to a fear that the Lebanese people have, an intrinsic fear where they feel that they won't be represented if someone of their religion isn't elected. So something that I came across, so I went around speaking to a lot of people in Lebanon, and people that are sort of politically illiterate, people that really don't care about politics, but based on their background, based on, for example, if they come from a Sunni background, you ask them, who do you admire in the political sphere? And each, for example, the Sunnis reply, Saad al-Hariri was our guy, and they now oust him from the government. And everyone sort of tries to go back to, the person that represents them from a religious standpoint. And so that's one of the biggest obstacles to revisiting this sectarian system, this proportional representation system. People are scared. People are scared that they won't be represented. But it's something that's really interesting. In 2019, there was the massive revolution, and that went all over the world, like everyone knows about this. And the revolution basically united people on the Lebanese nationality, and they had a common slogan that said, Kullun يعني كلٌ. Now كلٌ يعني كلٌ basically means all of them, meaning all of them. And so the Lebanese population were calling for all Lebanese politicians to step down from their positions because they were sick of how the Lebanese economy was making a turn, because they were sick of the treatment that the Lebanese population were getting. And so كلٌ يعني كلٌ is tagged like all over. If you go to Beirut and you see the protest hubs, if you go to even Tripoli, you see these phrases كلٌ يعني كلٌ, and you see images of different politicians stuck there, and then this tagged on them because it's calling for their resignation. It's calling for them to step down and for the Lebanese people to sort of seek justice in some sense. But something even bigger changed after 2019. There was this thing called the Change Bloc that came to rise. Now, the Change Bloc are a group of politicians, are a group of MPs that vowed to disrupt the way the Lebanese political system works. Now, these guys said that they don't want something that's based on religion. They don't want a sectarian divide. And they came in as secular politicians. They said, we're going to divide between the state and religion. We don't want the merging of the two. But a lot of people misrepresented this group. Now, they're not calling for the removal of religion. What they're calling for is for religion to be separated from politics. So everyone can maintain their own religious affairs. And that's fine. And Lebanon needs that because of the highly religious population it maintains. But for politics to be divided not according to religion, but according to people's merit. If you deserve the position, if you're someone that truly gets the vote of the people, then sure, you get elected. But if not, perhaps you don't deserve to be in a position of power. Now, the Change Bloc had a few members of parliament elected in the last election, but it's going to be really cool to see how the political landscape in Lebanon changes. And I want to end with an anecdote that I came across with some people that I would talk to. And they would be like, when it comes to voting, we go to different nominated MPs and we just say, like, how much are you paying for the vote? And then sometimes they vote for that person based on the price, but sometimes they just take the money and don't actually vote. And that's both sad and funny. And it's going to take a lot of work for Lebanon's political system to make a recovery and start to be a bit more productive, because the Lebanese economy is really taking a downturn and it's all in the hands of the politicians. Alright, now if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, comment below, because something that I'm really trying to do is learn more about the political landscape in Lebanon. And so I'm trying to go there yearly to learn more. And a lot of my videos will be focused on Lebanon going forward, simply because it's like my passion project. And yeah, share this video and looking forward to your feedback.